The Patriots are looking to complete a perfect 8-0 road record here in 2025. Can they get it done against the New York Jets? Let's break it down. Welcome, everybody. The Patriots are back on the road. And, Evan, they've been perfect on the road this year. Great opportunity for them to finish this season off 8-0. And we've got a Jets team that, let's face it, seems like they're ready for the offseason to start. Starting Brady Cook at quarterback. Things haven't gone right for the Jets this year. Seems like the Patriots have a good opportunity here to log another win and get one step closer to maybe sealing up this AFC East.
Absolutely. Road warriors. And ironically, they're putting themselves in a position to not have to go on the road in the playoffs. But it would be only the third time in franchise history that they are perfect on the road. 07, of course. And now I'm blanking on the
2016.
2016. Thank you. But yeah, that's an accomplishment. And, they've been really good on the road, focused on the road, and that's what this game is all about. It's just don't let your guard down. Like, you're a much better team than the Jets. There aren't a whole lot of things like we normally break down, the X's and O's and the numbers, and there's not a whole lot that favors the Jets in this game that you can point to and say, oh, this is what the Jets' formula or path to a victory might be. The only one is it's Christmas, and, it's a kind of a big comeback victory, a lot of energy put into the Baltimore game and the Buffalo game. So don't let your guard down, come out with the same kind of fire.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel called it unfinished business. So, they still have a lot to play for the Patriots. And, it's this kind of matchup when we start with special teams.
Yeah.
Because that's where the Jets are dangerous. And we've seen them earlier in the season get a win with, 2 return touchdowns. And, they're able to run the ball a little bit with Breece Hall. But we saw the Patriots 2 weeks ago have some issues on the kickoff. Not so much last week against the Ravens. They are kicking into the red zone, into the end zone, just choosing to let them take the ball at the 35. I mean, is that the way? Is that the formula? A kickoff return touchdown, a punt return touchdown, and then run the ball? I mean, that's what the Jets probably have to do to get a win.
Yeah, their special teams have been great this year. They're number 1 in the league in DVOA. They're number 1 in the league in kickoff return average, number 7 in punt return average. They're averaging over 30 yards a kickoff return, and the only team in the league over 30. So that's an area when you start to think about where are the margins that the Jets can kind of steal some points here. It's in those places. So if you're the Patriots, not to like wave a white flag, but do you just boom it out of the back of the end zone and give it to him at the 35 and say, Brady Cook, you drive him 65 yards because we don't really believe that your kickoff return unit is probably the best part of the team. So I think that's possible. Now I asked Mike Vrabel about it at his press conference on Wednesday. He gave a pretty big dissertation about all the different things, but the one thing that he pointed out was that their returners are really hard to tackle. So they want to get hats to the football in the kickoff game. They don't want to count on one guy to get their guys on the ground. Brendan Schooler said that it's a little bit more straightforward than what they faced against the Bills when the Bills were doing all sorts of crazy
power
schemes
runs
and like things like that to spring Ray Davis. So this is a little bit more coming right at you. But it's in this day and age, that field position can be really big.
Let's focus on the Patriots a little bit, Ev, because last week, and I mean, really, just before the bye, it feels like they started to get banged up. They had been so lucky with injuries this season. And then all of a sudden, Milton Williams goes down. It feels like it just started a parade of injuries. It doesn't sound like Robert Spillane's going to be back. Williams practicing this week. Not sure if he'll be able to get out there, but when you look at last week against the Raiders, Tonga goes out. Sounds like he's going to be out for a couple of weeks. I already said no Spillane. So, I mean, already you're looking at your depth along the defensive line as, going to be a little bit challenged, not to mention the offensive line where you have, Morgan Moses got a little bit banged up and Travion Henderson and Pop Douglas and Kayshon Boutte. The list goes on and on.
Right.
So maybe to me, that's one of the most interesting angles is not only who plays, but how much. And does Mike Vrabel maybe have an eye on, hey, we're going to be in the playoffs. We got to do what's best for the team in the long haul here.
Yeah, absolutely. They had 9 different guys visit the medical tent on Sunday night against Baltimore. And then we found out that Jared Wilson is also in concussion protocol. So that makes it 10 guys that were banged up in that game, on top of no Will Campbell, on top of Milton Williams, on top of Robert Spillane. So they've had some injuries now. Now, luckily, it doesn't sound, knock on wood, that any of these are season-ending type injuries. They're more, week-to-week type of injuries. So hopefully all these guys will be back for the playoffs. But you mentioned, the Jets running game, and they do have Breece Hall. They do have 2 young, promising tackles in Fashanu and Membu. And that's one area the Patriots have struggled in is run defense. And it's hard to see a path for that run defense to get a lot better until they're healthy on the defensive side of the ball. So that is another area that if you're looking for margins and ways the Jets can make this a competitive game, if they can stay on schedule and run the football, 40 times in this game and really shorten it and kind of make it a run game, special teams, defense kind of game for them, that's their path this week.
Let's just make it simple, Ev, because Drake Maye coming off his first 300-yard passing game, coming off his fourth quarter comeback, if I can get that out.
Yeah.
And the Jets defense has not had very many turnovers this year. Nary an interception to be found amongst this Jets defense. At the end of the day, is it just that simple? If Drake Maye does what Drake May's been doing all season long and the Jets defense does what they've kind of been doing all season long, it probably leads to a pretty easy Patriots win.
Well, it feels like the only things that are stopping Drake Maye now is the turnovers. So if he doesn't turn the ball over in Baltimore a couple times in the first half, they probably have 16, 20 points in that first half. So it's a much different game. So the Jets, the fact that they don't turn the ball over very much is probably a good thing for the Patriots. And just in the Week 11 matchup, just going back to that a little bit, Drake Maye absolutely torched their zone coverage. He was 12 of 13 for 209 yards passing against zone. He had one incomplete pass the whole game, and it went off Stephon Diggs' hands. So it was not really that incomplete. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't like a total miss. So they really shredded New York zone coverages. Now, when the Jets played some man, they did have better success, and that was sort of when all this conversation about man defense and blueprints and stuff like that began to really pick up some steam. So I expect the Jets to press similar levers again this week, excuse me. Man coverage, too high safeties, like all that stuff that we keep hearing a lot about, but they're 30th in DVOA on defense. They have not been a very good pass defense without Sauce Gardner. So I just don't know if they have the formula to do it for 4 quarters. But I do like the fact that they're going to press some buttons that the Patriots have had some issues with, and maybe they can fine tune some things, and the Patriots can kind of use this as a little bit of a tune-up game going into the playoffs.
All right, well, only 2 games to go, and the Patriots, they could, if they win this game, clinch the AFC East there late Sunday. If the Bills were to lose to Philadelphia, you'll have to wait and see on that one. Otherwise, we'll see you at 1 o'clock on Sunday.